Hi friends, in today's lecture we will study how to create these fun interactive dashboards in Microsoft Excel. So without any further ado, let's dive straight into the topic. So first we will see about what do we mean by a dashboard. So here you can see in this Excel sheet at the bottom I have various sheets and one of the sheet is data. This is my data. As you can see in this data, you have column headings like serial number, date, salesman name, region, item which he has sold, quantity, unit price, and the total amount. Now I want to show a visual representation of this data, and that is where the dashboard can help me. So a dashboard is nothing but a visual representation of your data so that the data looks more meaningful. Here you can see on the left side I am having these 4 buttons, or you can call them as tabs. If I click on dashboard, it's the main dashboard where I get the overall sales details achieved by the salesman. If I click on products, I get overall details of the products. If I click on salesman, I get overall details of the salesman. And if I click on about, I will get details about this project. Also, if you click on this dashboard, you will see that these dashboards are live. Example, now it is showing you data for all the 4 zones. If I want to see data only for East, I would click on East. If I want to click and see data only for North, I'll click on North. If I want to see North and South together, so I'll keep the Shift key pressed and click on South. So I get to see North and South. If I want to see all of them again, I can just clear the filters and I get all the data back again. Same way, if you want to see for a specific month, you can click over here, or a series of months, you can click over here, or all the data, you just clear the filter. Same way, if you want details for any particular product, just click on the product and you will get the sales details for that product. And if I want to see all the data, I'll again clear the filter. Same applies for the products. So if I click on the products tab, you will see the sales of the products, the top 3 selling products and the top 3 less selling products. And I can see them zone wise as well. Same way for the salesman, I can see the top performing salesman and the poor performing salesman and the overall sales. And finally, if I click on about, I get to see the details of my project. So friends, this is how dashboards can help you visually representing your data. So without any further ado, let's see how to create these dashboards. In order to create this dashboard, we'll start from scratch. So we'll click on File and we will select Blank Workbook. Now the first thing which we would do is we would create 3 sheets. One is dashboard, second is data, and third is pivot tables. So onto our blank sheet, I rename the first sheet into dashboard. I add one more sheet and I rename it into data, and I add one more sheet and rename this to pivot table. Now I'll go back to my original sheet, and to avoid time I'll just copy this entire data by pressing Ctrl C and come into our blank sheet, and into the data worksheet I'll paste the entire data. Now we'll proceed with constructing the dashboard. So I will click on the dashboard sheet. Now what we want to do first is, I want to create this blue rectangle. So you can see it is having rounded corners. So let us see how to do that. So we come back to a blank worksheet and we click on Insert, and in Insert we select Illustrations. In Illustrations we select Shapes, and in Shapes we select Rectangle Rounded Corner, and we draw one rectangle so that it encompasses the entire screen area visible to you. Now if I want to adjust these rounded corners, I click on this orange button and I can take it to the left to my size or to my requirement. Okay, ensure that your dashboard is coming entirely in one screen so that you don't have to scroll a bit. So I'll just reduce the height of my dashboard so that it's able to be visible in the entire screen area. Now my first rounded rectangle is ready. Now within this I want to make another rounded rectangle. So I will once again click on, either you can do it this way, that is click on Insert and then Illustrations and Rectangle, or you can duplicate this shape by pressing Ctrl D and then change the fill color. So click on Home, and here you have the fill color, and we'll fill it with a lighter shade of blue, something like this. And then we would adjust the size of this inner rounded rectangle so that it comes within our dashboard area, and we would make it smaller so that we can accommodate the buttons on the left side. I don't want the outline for this rectangle, so I can click on Home, and over here I can select that I don't want any borders. Okay, you can alternately do from this shape format also, and the shape outline is there, select no outline, and same way for this rectangle also shape format, and you can select shape outline and say no outline. So our two rectangles are ready. Ensure that they are equal on all sides, right? So let us come back to our original sheet. So our two rectangles are ready. This is the outer one and this is the inner light one. Now next what we want to do is, we want to create and get this timeline over here, where you can see this date, January, February, March, etc. In order to do that, I'll once again come to my sheet and click on Data. Click anywhere inside the data and then click on Insert, and in Insert select Pivot Tables. Now it will ask you where do you want the pivot table. So select Existing Sheet and then click on Pivot Table and click over here on the cell A2 and then click on OK. Now we would click anywhere inside the pivot table and then click on Insert, and in Insert select Timeline. In Timeline it will automatically pick up the date field from your data, so click on Date and click on OK. So you will see a timeline will come on your screen. After ensuring that the timeline is selected, click on Timeline. Now over here you can remove these headings like the header, the selection label, the scroll bar, the timeline level, etc. Now I want the header, so I'll select the header, and I want the scroll bar as well, so I select the scroll bar as well. And I want all the months to be visible, so I'll slightly extend the bar so that all the months are visible. And then I will press Ctrl C to copy it, and then I would click on my dashboard and Ctrl V and paste the dashboard over here. Now I would adjust the dashboard to a suitable location in our dashboard scene. Next, we would click on the pivot table. Again, ensure that we click anywhere inside the pivot table, and then we click on Insert, and in Insert we select Slicer. In Slicer, we'll select first the region and second is the item, and then click on OK. We will bring them at a suitable location on the sheet. Now this region, you can see they are coming one below each other. So I'll ensure that the region slicer is selected, and then click on Slicer, and here you have one column, so I'll make it to 2 columns. And I can also adjust the height of this particular slicer this way. Then I can press Ctrl C to copy it, and I will click on Dashboard and Ctrl V and paste it in the dashboard. Then I would bring it at a suitable location on my dashboard sheet, and I would also adjust the width of the slicer. And again, in the slicer you get this option to adjust the height of the slicer so that it looks decent as compared to the date field. Again we click on pivot tables, and here you have the item. So again I click on Slicer, and here you can see you have one column and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 items. So we change the number of columns to 6, and then we adjust the height of the slicer, and then we press Ctrl C to copy the slicer, and we come to Dashboard and Ctrl V and paste the slicer over here. So I bring the slicer down and I adjust the width of the slicer so that I can see all the individual item names this way. Next, let us see what do we fill over here. So we will go into the original sheet, and you can see that we want this icon of analytics, and then we want to write this text, and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 rectangular boxes we want to paste. So we'll start with placing this icon and this text analytics. So we'll come back to our original sheet, and in order to get that icon we click on Insert, and in Insert we would select Illustrations. In Illustrations we select Icons. In Icons we would select an icon which looks like that of a graph. So we'll select this icon and we would click on Insert, and we would bring it at a suitable location, and we would adjust the height and width of this icon. And now close to it I want to write down Analytics, so I would click on Insert, and in Insert I want to insert a text box, so I would click on Text Box, and I would draw a text box over here, and over here I would type analytics. Now I will select the text, I would click on home, make it bold and increase the size of it. And if you see the box is coming filled, I want to remove this fill. So I'll click on shape format and I would select shape fill and I would select no fill. Also if you see there's a rectangle outline, so I don't want that. Again I'd click on shape format, shape outline and select no outline. So the outline is gone. I'd slightly increase the font size again and bring this at a suitable location. So analytics, the first part is ready. Now below that I want to place these rectangles. We'll start with placing these 1, 2 and 3 rectangles first. So we'll come back to our sheet and we would click on insert and illustrations and shapes and we would select rectangle and we would draw 3 rectangles. We would press Ctrl D so that we get the rectangles of equal dimension, and again Ctrl D, which stands for duplicate, and bring them over here. Now we have to adjust the width of these rectangles. So you can see you have 1, 2, 3 items here and 1, 2, 3 items here. So this becomes a kind of center line. So I bring it over here and stretch this down like this, and I would bring this rectangle over here and this rectangle over here, and I would stretch this to go to the side. Always ensure that it looks good even from all the sides. So ensure that your text, graphics, everything is within the margin of what you have composed, and as much margin you have, equivalent margin you should have on this side as well. So you can adjust them. And so our rectangles are done of equal height. Now we want to put 2 rounded rectangles here. So I'll again click on insert, illustration, shapes, and I select rounded rectangle and I draw 1 rounded rectangle this way. And I press Ctrl D to duplicate it and bring another rounded rectangle over here. Let's see in the original sheet how it looks like. So in the original sheet also you can see 2 rounded rectangles of equal size, but there is a overlapping rectangle on top of it. So we'll create that as well. So we'll first stretch the rectangles and make them of equal size like this and of equal height as well. Then I want to change the fill color, so I click on shape format and here you have shape fill and I fill it with a dark green color. In same way I select this rectangle, shape format, and I shape fill it with this color. Then I select this rectangle, Ctrl D, duplicate it, and I place it on top of this over here like this, and I change the shape fill color to white, and I adjust the width of this rectangle, and I don't want the outline, so I select shape outline, no outline, and same way for the outer rectangle also, shape outline I select no outline. Same way I select this shape format and shape outline I select no outline, Ctrl D, duplicate, and I fill it with a white color, and then I match it with this rectangle, and I reduce the width of it this way. Now you also see that the height is also suitably adjusted so that it should look like one continuous shape, and again, as I told you, they should be in one line. Alright, now over here I want to enter a kind of rupee symbol. If you see, there's a rupee symbol here and a graph symbol here, okay, a sale symbol. So this rupee symbol, you can just Google it and you can get it. So I have already Googled it and have copied it here. So I'll just copy it and I'll come into my dashboard and I will paste it here at this location. You can also, if you are having Office 365, you can also get that rupee symbol in this insert in illustrations in icons. Same way I want that symbol for sales. So this is that symbol. I'll select that and I will select insert and I'll bring it here and I will adjust the height, and if I want to change the color of this, so I can click on the graphic and format that graphic. So you have this fill color for the graphic, which you get by right clicking. And I fill this with orange color. This is already green color. Now this I want to make it to a white fill. So shape format, shape fill, white fill, and I don't want any outline. And same way over here, shape format, shape fill, white fill, no outline, shape format, shape outline, no outline. Same way over here, shape format, and then you have shape fill, white fill, shape outline, no outline. So our rectangles are ready where we will be having the graphs. Now finally we want the buttons over here. As you can see, there are 4 buttons: dashboard, products, salesman and about. So let us see how to create these buttons. So again, come to our sheet and we click on insert, illustrations, shapes, and we select rounded rectangle and we draw one rounded rectangle like this. You can adjust the size and you can adjust the width so that it looks proper. And I want to write text inside it, so I click on insert and text, and inside this I want to write down the text. So I can double click and I can just type dashboard. I would select the text by pressing Ctrl A. I would click on home and increase the size, change the alignment to center, middle, bold, slightly increase in size. Now I want to change the fill of this block to white fill, and the text I want to make it black. So I will select this text and home, black text, and then the rectangle I will select the rectangle, and shape format and shape fill I will fill it with white color. First button is ready, which is for dashboard. Second, as you can see, is products. Third is salesman, and fourth is about. So we'll just Ctrl D to duplicate it and bring it below this, and again Ctrl D, duplicate it, again Ctrl D, duplicate it. Then change this to products, change this to salesman, and change this to about. Now the text color, I'll change the text color to white, and the rectangle I'll remove the fill. So shape format, I would select shape fill, no fill, and the shape outline I will make it to white color. Same way the salesman is there, I would again click on shape format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, white color, and the text color I will make the text color to white. And same way for products, shape format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, white color, and then the text color you select and home, and change the text color to white. So you can see our dashboard is almost ready. Our 4 buttons representing dashboard, products, salesman, and about is over here, and the rectangles are waiting for the graphs. Next, we want to write down the text as the respective rectangular column headings. So let us come to our original sheet, and here you can see the headings are sales by months, sales by regions, and sales by products. So let us create these headings. So we come to our original sheet, we click on insert, text box, and we write down over here sales by months, okay, and we select the text, we make it bold, and we increase the size. Let's just take a look. So sales by months, so we will still increase the size a bit and adjust this a bit on the top so that we have space for the graph. And we want to remove the fill, so shape format, we select shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. So you have normal sales by months. You can adjust the graph so that you have space for accommodating the graph well over here. And then we just copy this, so you can press the Ctrl key and drag it, so you get a copy over here, and again Ctrl key and drag it, and you get a copy over here. and again control key and drag it, you get a copy here, and control key and drag it and you get a copy over here. Now we'll change the headings. So first sales by months is ready. Now sales by region and sales by products. So we come back and we change this to sales by regions, sales by products, and then finally on the top total amount and total sale. So we come back to our original sheet and we change this to total amount and total sales. So let's see, it's total amount and total sales, and that figure will be coming below it. Now next let us see how to make this graph sales by months. So you can see you have the months over here and you have the sales figure here, and it's represented by a line graph. So we'll come here to our original sheet. We'll adjust these headings so that we get space for the graph, and we come into pivot table over here, and what we'll do is we'll insert one new pivot table, or rather you can copy the same pivot table over here, come over here and control V to paste that pivot table, and I would select date. I want the date over here. You can see the moment you select date, all the relevant fields also come down, so I don't want anything other than the date. And for values I want to see the amount, so I get the amount. Now if you don't see all the months, probably one of the slicer is active. You can click on dashboard and just clear the slicers by clicking on these buttons, and come back to pivot table so you can see your sales figures are ready. And now we want to make a graph out of this, so ensure that your pivot table is selected and you select insert and select graph, or we want a line graph, so we select a line graph and we select a suitable line graph. A simple line graph we'll select it, and afterwards these buttons are there. We don't want these buttons, so hide all field buttons on the chart. I don't want these headings, so I remove these headings. I don't want these figures, so I remove these figures, and I don't want this value, so I remove these values. And now for this line I want the data labels. If you want, you can have it, or you can keep it like as it is. And you don't want these horizontal lines, you select them and delete the horizontal lines, and you can adjust the width of the graph, and then you can control C, copy the graph, and then come to dashboard and control V and paste the graph. You can close this pivot chart fields and adjust this so that the graph gets adjusted within this range over here. So you can adjust the height of the graph and the width of the graph over here this way. And you don't want the outline for the graph, so select the graph, select format and shape outline, select no outline, so you have the graph ready. And in the same way I want sales by region, so I click on pivot tables, I select this pivot table, I will press Ctrl C to copy, I'll come down and Ctrl V to paste, I'll click anywhere inside this pivot table and then click on pivot table, analyze, select field list, and I remove all the old fields And now I want region, so I click on region. You can see you have the region, and I want the amount, so I have the amount. And now I want a graph for this, so I select the data, and see the graph which I want is a column graph with the data labels on the top. So I will select this, I click on insert, and I will select a simple column graph. So you get the column graph over here. Right click on this and hide all field buttons. You don't want this value, delete it. You don't want these headings, delete it. You don't want the legends, delete it. You don't want these horizontal lines, delete it. Then click on one of these values over here, and you want the data labels, so right click, add data labels, and select add data labels, so you get data labels on the top. Press Ctrl C to copy this graph and come back to your dashboard and paste the graph by pressing Ctrl V. Close the pivot chart field and take this on the side. Adjust the heading and make room for your graph first. Then bring the graph. Adjust the size of the graph and bring the graph within the range. And you can adjust the width of the graph as well and the height of the graph as well. And you don't want any outline, so select the graph, select format, select shape outline, and select no outline. So you can see there is no outline. Finally, I want sales by products over here, so I adjust the products like this, and if you see again, it's a bar graph, and you have the products and the sales figures, but it is shown in percentage. So let's come back to our sheet and we'll click on pivot tables. Again, I select the product, I select the pivot table, Ctrl C, I come somewhere at the bottom, paste it, click anywhere in the pivot, click on pivot table, analyze, select field list, and remove the old fields. And now I want the item names, so I click on item names, and I want the sales figures, so I click on amount, and this time I want that this amount should be shown as percentage, so I right click over here and you have this value field settings. So over there I'll select and rather right click over here and show value as, and select percentage of column. So we will select percentage of column total over here, and it will show you the percentage of the column total. And then we select the data, and then we click on insert, and then we select bar graph, and we select a 2D bar graph like this. Again I select these buttons, hide all field buttons, I remove the headings, okay, I remove these access titles, I remove the legends, okay, and I don't want these bars, vertical bars, and I want the data labels, so right click and select add data labels, and then I will Ctrl C, copy it, come into my dashboard and Ctrl V, paste it, and then I will adjust the height of this graph and bring it within the range of the rectangle. And I don't want any border, So I'll ensure that the graph is selected and I'll click on format and select shape outline and select no outline. So you can see our 3 graphs are ready, and they are live graphs. So if you click on keyboard, you get data for keyboard, monitor, mouse. If you want everything, just clear the filters. Same way you have for various months, zones, and you can clear this, and same way you have for various months, you can see the results and you can clear it. Next we will see, we'll just drag this a bit on the top. And this as well, will drag it a bit on the top. Like this. Next we'll see how to calculate the amount and the sales total. You click outside just to see how the graph looks like. For all the other items also ensure that you do not have any particular borders for them, for the boxes, etc. Okay, so you have the format and you can change the headings, etc. Alright. So now we'll see how we get the amount and the sales figures. Now we will see how to calculate the total amount. So for this, we would click on pivot tables and we'll copy this pivot table, Ctrl C, and come to some blank location, Ctrl V, paste. Click anywhere inside the pivot table, click on pivot table analyze, click on field list and remove the old values. Now I want to see the total of the amount. So I click over here and you get the total of the amount over here. Now what we do is, we click on the adjacent cell and we type equal to, and we click over here to get the value from the pivot table and hit enter. Then we click on this cell, we right click and select format cells. In format cells we select number and we say use 1000 separator and 0 decimal places and click on OK. So we get the amount over here, which we will be putting in the dashboard over here. In the same way I want the sales, so I'll just select this pivot table, Ctrl C copy, come to a new location, Ctrl V paste. Now in order to get the total of the sales over here, what we do, we just change this formula into sum of amount. Instead of that, I click on value field setting and change it to count of amount. So it shows me the count. And then I'll take the value by clicking on equal to and clicking over here and you get the result. Now let us see how to substitute these values into the dashboard. So I click on this cell, I press Ctrl D to duplicate it and bring it below this like this, and same way I select this, Ctrl D duplicate and bring it below this like this. Then I select this value, I delete it, and then in the formula bar I type equal to and then click on pivot tables and click on this amount and just hit enter. So you will see the amount gets substituted over here. Now I will just select the amount and I will increase the size of the text and make it bold as well. Same way I come to this total sales, I select it, I delete it, and in the formula bar I type equal to and click on pivot tables and select count and click enter. Then I would select the text and I would click on home and increase the size and make it bold as well. And here my dashboard is ready. I can still increase the size a bit. So this is 16 and this also will make it to 16. So now it looks proper. So you have the total amount and the total sales. So once this dashboard is ready, making the other dashboard for product, salesman and about is very easy. So let us next see how to create the products dashboard. Now, in order to create the products dashboard, what we will do is we would right click on the dashboard sheet and over here we would select move or copy. Over here we would click on create a copy and click on OK. Then we would rename this sheet to products and hit enter. Now whatever things we do not want, we would delete them. Example, we don't want this data, so we remove these headings from here. And in the same way, we don't want these headings as well, so we remove these headings also. And we don't need these graphs, so we delete these graphs. Now let us see what all contents we want in the products dashboard. Remember, we are on the products tab of our sheet. So we go to our original sheet and here you can see you have the products dashboard and here you have sales by products. So let us first write it down over there, sales by products. So we come here and it's sales by products. And I'll just maximize this size up to here and I'll take these headings on the top. Now let us see what we want over here. So we come back to our original sheet and here you have top 3 selling products and top 3 less selling products. So we come here and we change these headings to top 3 selling products and we increase the size and we select top 3 less selling products. Now let us see how to get these values, that is the graphs, top 3 selling products and top 3 less selling products. So we click on pivot tables and we select this pivot and we press Ctrl C and paste it over here. We click over here and from this we remove the old pivot values. So what I want the item names, so I click on item names. You can see the item names and I want the quantity of that item sold. So I click on quantity. Now in this quantity I want to see the top 3 items. So I click on this drop down, and over here you have value filters. So you have top 10. So in this top 10 I change this value to top 3 and I click on OK. So you have the top 3 values here. Same way I'll again select this pivot and copy it here, and everything remains the same except that over here I want the value, instead of top 3 I want bottom 3. Then I would click on OK. Now let us make a graph for this. So I select this, click on insert, and in insert I select bar graph, and I select a simple 2D bar graph, and I right click over here and hide all buttons, and I don't want these headings, I don't want the legends, I don't want the vertical lines, I don't want these lines as well, and I want to add the data labels. And now I want to copy this graph. I'll just size it and make it small. Then Ctrl C, copy. This is for the sum of quantity and showing the top 3 products which are being sold. So I press Ctrl C to copy and come into products and Ctrl V, paste. I close this pivot chart fields and I adjust this and stretch it across. And then I don't want this outline, so I select format, and shape outline I select no outline. So you have the graph ready. And same way we want the top 3 less selling products. So again I click on pivot table, click anywhere inside this, insert, and I select graph, and I select 2D bar graph. Again I remove this button, I don't want the headings, and I don't want the legend, I don't want the axis titles, I don't want the vertical line. However, I want the data labels, and I'll size this up, and I'll bring this down here, and I'll Ctrl C and come into products, and I'll paste it here, and I will adjust the size of my graph, and I would format it, and shape outline I would select no outline. So these are my top 3 selling products, and these are the top 3 less selling products. Now these products I don't want should get affected by these buttons for item. So what you have to do is you have to click anywhere on this, and after that click on slicer, and in slicer you have report connections. In these connections you have to remove the connection of that slicer with these 2 pivot tables. But for that you should know the names of these 2 pivot tables. So let us go into pivot table and click on this pivot table and click on pivot table analyze. So over here where you have this pivot table, you have the name pivot table 22. That's the name of this pivot. And same way we click over here and again pivot table analyze, and you have pivot table 23. So pivot table 22 and 23 we want to disconnect them. So we come to products, we select the slicer we click on slicer, report connections, and over here table 22 and 23 we disconnect from this slicer over here. Now we come to sales by products. So again we click on pivot table and we copy this pivot, Ctrl C somewhere at the bottom, and we click on pivot table analyze, field list, and what I want in this pivot is I want the item names and I want the quantity sold, and I want the graph for this. So I select insert and I select graph and I select 2D column graph, and I hide all field buttons. I don't want the chart title, I don't want the legend, I don't want the access title, but I want to give the data labels, and I don't want these horizontal lines, and I would like to see Ctrl C copy and come into products and Ctrl V paste and adjust the height of these products. Okay, and now see the name, let us see the name of this pivot. So pivot table, and we select this and we click on pivot table analyze, pivot table 24. So we come to products, we click on slicer, we select the slicer, and in slicer you have report connections. Ensure that pivot table 24 is selected. Only these two tables we don't want the connections because they will be static. And now you can see that you get data for all the values. You can go for all the zones, zone wise figures, but these values you want that they should remain static. Okay, so with reference to this they will never change. With reference to this you can have the values changing, but with reference to the items you want that the values should not change with reference to the items. So here whether you change 1, 2 or 3, nothing will happen over here, but rest all you will see the changes happening. So our products tab is also ready. Next let us see how to make the salesman tab. So for this we would right click on products and select move or copy and select create a copy and click on OK. We would rename this sheet to salesman and hit enter. Now we'll delete all the unwanted elements from this salesman sheet. Ensure that you are in the salesman tab and you delete the graphs which you do not need. And here we will write down top 3 performing salesmen. And we will increase this, and here we will rename this to bottom 3 poor performing salesmen. And we'll increase this. And let us see what is the heading over here. So we come into the original sheet. It's just sales by salesman. So we just change this to sales by salesmen. Now let us see how to make the graphs for the top 3 performing salesmen. So we click on pivot table. We will just make space. We'll copy this pivot table, Ctrl C, come at the bottom and Ctrl V paste. Then we click on pivot table analyze. We select field list and we remove this field list. Now I want the salesman name. So the salesman name comes over here, and I want the quantity which is sold by them should be shown here. And now out of this I want the top 3 performing. So I click over here and in this value filters, top 10, I select top 3 performing salesmen. Same way I'll copy this pivot one more time, take it at the bottom, and over here I'll just change this to, everything remains the same. Instead of top 10 or top 3, I'll make it to bottom 3 performing salesmen. Now I want to make the graph. So select the upper one, select insert, select graph, and I select 2D graph. I right click over here, I right click over here, hide all field buttons on the chart. I don't want the chart heading, I don't want the legends, I don't want the axis title, I don't want the vertical lines. I click on the bars and I add data labels and I reduce the size and I Ctrl C copy it, come into the salesman, Ctrl V paste it, close the pivot chart field, drag this down and adjust this so that it comes here. And you don't want the border, so format and shape outline and you say no outline. Same way we want bottom 3 poor performing salesmen. Click over here, click anywhere on this pivot, insert and click anywhere on this pivot and select insert and select graph and select 2D bar graph and right click on the salesman, hide all field buttons. I don't want the chart title, I don't want the legend, I don't want the axis title, I don't want the vertical line. I'll click on the bars and add the data labels. I'll adjust the width of this and I will say Ctrl C copy, come into salesman and Ctrl V paste and bring this here and adjust the width. And you don't need the border, so select the graph, format and shape outline and select no outline. Format, shape outline, no outline, click outside, so it's gone. Same way we want sales by salesman, click on pivot table, select pivot, Ctrl C, come at the bottom, Ctrl V, click on pivot table, analyze, field list, remove the old values, and what I want is, I want the salesman name to be shown and I want the quantity sold by the salesman should be shown. And now I want the graph for this, so insert and I want the column bar and right click over here, hide all field buttons. I don't want the chart heading, I don't need the legends, I don't need the horizontal lines. I don't need the vertical axis. And I need the data labels, and I'll Control C, come into salesman and Control V, paste, and adjust the size. And close the pivot table chart fields, and format, shape outline, no outline, and click outside. Okay, so your sheet is ready. Let us see if it's working. Okay, so it seems like everything is working fine. North, south, east, west, and you want all the values, and the top 3 performing salesman and the bottom 3 performing salesman. So our dashboard sheet is ready, our product sheet is ready, and our salesman sheet is also ready. Next, let us see how to make the about sheet. In order to create the about sheet, we would right click on salesman and select move or copy, and select create a copy and click on OK. Then we would rename this sheet to about and hit enter. Now we would remove all the unwanted things from this about tab. So I do not need these rectangles and I do not need these graphs as well. So I remove all these contents and I keep only one rectangle active, and I stretch this rectangle across, and then instead of analytics I change the heading to about, and then instead of this icon over here I'll insert a different icon. So insert illustration icons, and we select some icon like a profile picture, something like this or like this, whichever you prefer. Click on insert and bring it to suitable location in your screen and size it up and bring it here next to about. And now we want to change this contents of about, so I'll just show you what are my contents. So I click over here and this is the about. So it's just the project developer and the version. So I will just copy these contents to save time. I'll press Ctrl C, copy it, and come into our sheet and Ctrl V, paste. So it's just like some details about your products, like which version and who has developed, etc. So the about sheet is now ready. Finally, you have to do the linking. Let us see how to do the linking with the buttons. So click on dashboard, click on the first button, right click over here and select link. In link, select place in this document and click on dashboard and click on OK. Then click on products, right click, link, place in this document and select products and select OK. Then click on salesman, right click, link, select salesman, OK. Then click on about, right click, link, and click on about and click on OK. You have to repeat this for all the 4 sheets. So we click on products and do the same activity. We click on link and dashboard, we link it with dashboard. Products button, we link it with products button. Salesman button, we link it with salesman. And about button, we link it with about. Again we click on salesman and we repeat that. So dashboard, we link it with dashboard. Products, we link it with products. And salesman, we link it with salesman. And about, we link it with about. And finally in the about sheet, the last time, dashboard, link with dashboard. Products, link it with products. Salesman, link it with salesman. About, link it with about. Now one last change. See, when you are in dashboard, that time I want the dashboard should be white, rest all buttons no fill. But when you are in products, that time I want the products button should be filled with white color. So I click on products and I click on shape format and I shape fill with white color, and the text is there. I want to change the text color. So I want to change the text color to black. So text color will be changed to black. And for dashboard, I want that the dashboard shape format and the shape fill should be no fill, and the text color should be white. Not the fill color, it's the text color I want to be filled with white. And for this outline, I want the shape outline to be white color. So shape outline, I want it white color. Same way the products, I want it should be filled with white color, and the text for products would be black, and the dashboard, see, because they are hyperlinked, that's why this issue happens. So shape format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, white. So that's how your products would look. That's how your dashboard would look. But in dashboard, this should be in white color and the fill should be none. And the dashboard color, fill should be white, and the text color should be black. So this is how my dashboard should look. This is how product should look. Same way you come to salesman, right click on salesman, shape format, and the shape fill with white, text fill with black. And for dashboard, in salesman, shape format, shape fill, no fill, text fill black, and shape outline white color. So this is how your salesman should look. And then click on About. Again in About, shape format, shape fill white, text fill black, and rest everything shape format, shape fill no fill, shape outline white, text fill white color. So that's my About tab, that's my Salesman tab. Here the dashboard text fill or the text color should be white. So that's my About tab, that's my Salesman tab, this is my products tab, and the dashboard tab. Now let us see whether the tabs are working. So this is dashboard, this is the products tab. You can see I am in the product sheet. This is salesman, I am in the salesman sheet. This is About, I am in the About sheet. And this is dashboard, I am in the dashboard sheet. Finally, you can click on view, and if you don't want the grid lines, so turn off the grid lines so it looks more aesthetic, and you can see your dashboard is now ready to use. So friends, hope you have learned something new in this exciting session on how to create interesting and fun dashboards. With this, we end this lecture, and if you like this lecture, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in this lecture we will study how to create a MIS dashboard in Microsoft Excel. So before we start the creation, let us first try to understand what is the issue and how we are going to resolve it. So let's assume that I am a game vendor and I sell board games like chess, Ludo, Monopoly, Scrabble, and Snakes and Ladders across 5 countries of the world like Afghanistan, Albania, Belgium, Brazil, and Canada. Now I want to make a MIS report through which at a glance I should be able to see the top 3 performing countries, the sales in the different countries, the total revenue generated, and the game-wise revenue generated. At the same time, if I would like to explore, take for example only the performance of Brazil. So I'll select the country Brazil and it will show me the total revenue which I've got from Brazil and the game-wise sales. Suppose then I would like to compare Brazil with Canada. So I would press Shift and select Canada as well, and I would get to see in turn the performances of Brazil and Canada. Now, if I want to see their performances for a particular game, say for example chess, so I will select chess and I would see the performances of both the countries with reference to the revenue and the total profit generated from the game chess. This way I can make a very nice MIS report which can help me take valuable decisions like from which country I am getting maximum sale, which game is bringing maximum revenue, and this could help me take wise decisions. So without any further ado, let's dive straight into creation of this dashboard. So let us first take a look at the data sheet. Now keep in mind that this file whose name is Board Games Data, I have already provided to you, and the link for that you will get in the description of this video. So if you see the data, you can see it has headings like country name, states, quarter, type of game, and the sales. So if you want to create a dashboard, we first click over here on this plus option to make a new dashboard. Let's rename this dashboard and give it some name like new dashboard. And this is where I'm going to make my dashboard. So let's see the existing dashboard. If you see that there's a dark bigger rectangle and a light inner rectangle, and there's a space for these slicer buttons. So let's go on our new dashboard. Let's click on insert and select illustrations, select shapes and select rounded rectangle. And then in this rounded rectangle, we make a rectangle which occupies a fair portion of the screen. And then using this yellow button, I can reduce the corner curve width. And now I want to change the color of this particular rounded corner rectangle. So I click on shape format and you have the shape fill. And let's change it to a slightly darker shade of green. Let's take, for example, in this scenario we'll take this. Although if you see in your earlier dashboard it has a little lighter one, but for a change we are taking a darker shade. Then we will copy this rounded rectangle and we will paste it. So we'll press Ctrl C for copy and Ctrl V for paste. And then we'll change the color of this rectangle. So shape format, shape fill, and we change it to a lighter fill color. And then we will reduce the width of this inner rectangle on all the sides this way. Alright, so here is the space which we have reserved for slicer, and here is the space which we have reserved for our charts. Now let's go into the dashboard, and the first chart which we want to make is the country wise sales of board games. So I click on my data sheet, click anywhere inside the data, click on insert and select pivot table. Let it be a new worksheet and I will say OK. Now here I will select country name and I will select sales. You can see the new worksheet over here. Let me rename it to pivot new. Now if I don't want these grand totals at the bottom, then you have this pivot table analyze, or you have this design view. In this design view you have this grand total and select off for rows and columns. Now you select this data and click on insert and select chart and select 2D column chart. Then right click on these buttons and hide all field buttons on the chart. Then click on the legend, and we do not want the legend, so we delete the legend as well. Then we click on this y-axis title and we delete that as well. Then we click on x-axis title and make it bold. Then we click on the data bars, right click over there and add the data labels. Now we don't want these horizontal lines, so we click on one of these horizontal lines and press delete. Then we will change the title let us see what's the title. Country-wise sales of board games. So I click on our pivot new, and I change these headings to country-wise sales of board games. I'll select this and I'll press Ctrl V for bold. Then I click on the chart, click on format, and I say shape fill as no fill. And also I click on format and select shape outline and select no outline. Then I select the chart, Ctrl C for copy, and come into our new dashboard, and in the new dashboard we'll paste it here by pressing Ctrl V. I'll close the pivot chart fields and will reduce the size like this. Then I would change the color of these bars. So I would select one of the bars, double click over there, ensure that all the bars are selected, and select fill, and in this fill color we'll select a dark green color so that it matches with the scheme which we are using. So this is country-wise sales of the board games. Then let's come to the old dashboard. Now you want game-wise sales. So again we come into our pivot table, we select this data, Ctrl C copy, and we paste it to a new location. Then right click over here and select show pivot table. And now we don't want country wise, we want games. So game names and their sales. Again we select the data, we click on insert, and we make a chart this way. Then again we right click, hide all field buttons on the chart, we remove the legend, we remove the y-axis title, we remove the horizontal lines, we change these to bold, and we say change the heading to game wise sales. Then we change the color of the fill to a dark green, and we also add data labels, and then we click on format and select shape fill, select no fill, shape outline, no outline, and then we press Ctrl C to copy and come into a new dashboard, and we paste it over here, Ctrl V, and take it to the side. Adjust the size so that it matches with the neighboring graph as well. Ensure that the headings are made in bold. So you now have a game-wise sales as well. I'll take this a bit to the right. Alright. Now over here, if you see, I want an icon and I want to write down analytics close to it. So I would click on insert, illustrations, and here you have icons. Now from the icons, I would select an icon which represents the graphs. Let's say this icon, and click on insert to insert that. So you can see it's inserted here. I bring that icon over here, slightly narrow it down this way, okay, and then close to it I want to write down analytics. So I click on insert and I select text box and I draw a text box, and here I type analytics and I select and I click on home. I change it to a bigger size and I make it to bold. Then I want to remove the fill, so shape fill I say no fill, and shape outline no outline, and then I bring this close by. Now after this I want to write down the total revenue generated. So for this, again we'll make two rectangles, rounded rectangles. So we click on insert, we click on illustration, shapes, and we make a rounded rectangle like this, and we fill it with a dark green color. So we select shape fill and fill it with a dark green red. Then we copy this, Ctrl C, paste it, Ctrl V, and change the fill color to white. Then we will place this on top of this like this, and we'll size it up like this. Now inside this I want to write down the revenue, the total revenue, and whatever is the amount generated. So in order to get the total revenue over here, what we'll do is we would go into our pivot table and we would copy the old pivot table over here, come to the new location and paste it. Now over here we would remove whatever is there in the rows section and keep only the sum of the sales. Now in order to get the total over here, you just type equal to and click over here and hit enter. Now come back to your new dashboard, and over here you click on home and you select text and select text box and draw a text box. In this text box, click over here and type equal to, and then come into the pivot table and click over here. Then click on enter. So you will get the total over here. Now you can click on home and increase the size of this total and make it bold, and also you can change the format of it. So you can right click on it and you can change the format of this text as well. You also have the option to change the size and the properties of it. So we don't want to do that, we want to just select the text and right click on it and change the format of it. So in order to change the format, the trick which you have to use is, you have to go into the pivot table, and in the pivot table you change the format over here. So right click, select format cells and change it to general, or you can select number and just say use 1000 separator and remove these zeros and select OK. And now when you come to your dashboard, you will see that it comes in the style which you have selected. Now you can just increase the size of the text and make it bold, so you get the total revenue over here as well. Now on the top we want to write down new total revenue, so again click on insert and select text and select text box and just type over here total revenue, and then select the text and increase the size of the text and make it bold and increase the width, and for this also you can just make it transparent by clicking on shape format, and in shape format selecting shape fill and selecting no fill, shape outline, no outline. Same way for this revenue, selecting shape format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. So you get the total revenue and you get the amount as well. Now over here on the right side I want to show the top 3 countries revenue. So again I click on pivot new, select the old pivot, Ctrl C copy, Ctrl V paste, and from here I select country name. Now over here I click on this drop down, and in this drop down I select value filters, and where it is written top 10 I make it to top 3 and then click on OK. Now I select these 3 and I click on insert and I select chart, and this time I select the chart this way. Then I would like to sort it, so right click on this cell and select sort and select smallest to largest. Then come on your graph, right click over here and select hide all field buttons, remove the legends, remove these values, click on the bar, add data labels, and in the total over here heading you give it as top 3 revenue generating countries. Top 3 revenue generators country wise. Next we would select on the graph and we would click on format, and shape fill will select as no fill, and shape outline will select as no outline, and then we would copy the graph, Ctrl C, and come into the new dashboard and paste it over here, Ctrl V. Then bring the graph over here and adjust the height and width of the graph and change the bar colors by clicking on it, selecting format and selecting shape fill and filling it with a darker green color. And also the headings I want to change it to bold, and then we are done. Now coming to the most important part, and that is of slicer. So in order to get the slicer, what we will do, we'll click on insert, and here you have the option of slicer. So it gives you, if it gives you this option, so this is a very important thing, and understand you'll get this option if none of the graphs are selected. So first thing which you should do is select any of the graph this way. Then click on insert and then click on slicer. Now what are the kinds of slicer you want? So I want a country wise slicer, I want a game wise slicer, and I want a quarter wise slicer. I'll select OK. Now the country wise slicer, I got it here. I'll move it to a location and I'll size it up horizontally and vertically. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 countries. Then I have the game wise slicer. I bring the game wise slicer over here and size it horizontally and vertically, and you can even take it a bit inside. And finally you have the quarter wise slicer, so you bring it here and size this also horizontally and vertically, and you can also do it this way so that you come within the range. And what you can do, you can select all the slicers like this and reduce their width and take them slightly up, and then bring this over here and adjust the width of this so that you can see the other 4 values as well, and you can slightly increase the height over here so that you can see the 4th value as well. And our dashboard is ready. Now let us see whether the slicer is working properly. So if I click on Afghanistan, you get sales for Afghanistan, but if you have watched, there is no changes happening over here. If I click on chess, it's showing me the chess revenue, but things are moving only on this graph. It's not happening on the other graphs. And the reason for this is that slicer was affected only with this graph. So what you have to do is you have to select each of the slicers this way, and then click on the slicer, select report connections and establish connection with all the pivot tables which you have made in this particular sheet. So then select OK. Same way you select this game, select slicer, select report connections and set it with all the pivot tables, and same way select quarter, slicer, report connections and with all the slicers, and then click on OK. Now I'll reset the slicer by clicking here. Now if I say that I want only for Afghanistan, you'll see it's affecting all of them, Afghanistan and Albania, Afghanistan, Albania and Belgium, and I want sales for all the 4 quarters, and I want only the sales for Ludo, or only for Monopoly, or only for Snakes and Ladders, and I want to reset all of them. Click over here, click over here. Okay, here you can see that the top 3 revenue generators, they are getting changed. Instead of 3, it's become 4. So what I want is that this graph should not change. So I would come into my pivot table, and over here the latest one, I would select value filters, select top 10 and make it to top 3. Click on OK. Then identify the name of this pivot. So for that, pivot table analyze, and when you click over here, you will see that the name of this pivot is pivot table 11. So when you come to your new dashboard, and when you are linking the slicers, so in this report connections, remove the connection with table 11. Again select this, slicer, report connections, and remove the connection with table 11. And again quarter, slicer, report connections, and remove the connection with pivot table 11. Now if you see, if I make the changes country wise, this table will remain as it is. Nothing would happen on the top 3 revenue generators. It will remain as it is. Rest all are performing equally well. So friends, hope you have understood how to make a dashboard, how to make the slicers, how to establish connections with the slicers, as well as how to break the connections. Don't forget that the link for this sheet is present in the description of this video. With this, we end this lecture, and we'll see you again in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. Hi friends, in today's lecture we'll study how to make a sales dashboard similar to what you are seeing right now. The link for downloading this practice file is given in the description of this video. So let me first explain you what is this dashboard about, and then I will explain you how we can construct this dashboard. So imagine that we have two major clients. One is Computech and second is Microworld, and these two clients are responsible for selling of various products, and I want to see how they are performing. So what is the sales score of Computech, what is the sales score of Microtech, how has Microworld scored with reference to the different categories, how has Computech scored with reference to different categories, and their sales by different months, and the top 5 managers and their performing scales. At the left side you can see we have some slicer buttons. So if I want to see data only for Computech, I would click here. So I can get data only for Computech company. If I want data only for Microworld, I get data for only Microworld. If I clear the filters, I get data for both of them. Same way, I want data for of both the companies for a specific town. I can click like this. If I want for all the towns, I'll click over here. Same way, I want to see the performance of both the companies with reference to gaming products, with reference to laptops, and so on. This way I can come to know who is performing better, in which particular months and in which particular category. So let me explain you how we can now go on and constructing this kind of sales dashboard. So first I will take you to my data. This is my raw data. So I'll just remove the filters. So I have made a table actually. I'll convert it to range so that you can understand it better. So here you can see that I have fields like months, the store, the town, then the store code, the country to which that store belongs, who is the manager, category, and what is the sales. So this is our simple raw data, and if you scroll down you can see there is a huge amount of data, and we want to make a dashboard for this data. So what I'll do, I'll first select this data by clicking at the junction, click on home and copy the data. Now I'll make a new sheet and I will paste the data. So right click, paste special values. This is the data which I have pasted. So I'll rename this sheet as raw data. Okay, now the first thing which you ought to do is you have to convert this raw data into a table, so that in future when you go to add more rows it would get reflected in your dashboard. So to convert this into a table, click on home, and in home you have this option wherein you can format this as a table. So here you have format as table, and you can select any style which you prefer. It will ask you that where is the data for your table. So this is my data. You can see these marching ants around the data, and my table has headers. So these are the headers for my table. I'll click on OK and the table is ready. So you have month, you have store, you have town, you have store code, country, manager, category, and sales. Just for convenience, I'll click on home and make this into currency, and I'll right click on it, format cells, and I don't want to show the decimals, so I'll remove the decimals. Okay, that's it. And then for the months I want to show this as a date, so format cells, I'll take it as a date, and I would click on OK. So now everything seems perfect. So this is my raw data, and this is my dashboard which I want to construct. So we'll start with first making this pie chart, which is sales by store. So we'll come back to our new sheet and we'll click on anywhere inside the data, inside the table, then click on insert and select pivot table. Click on OK, and the store name is there, we'll drag it to rows. So you'll see our two store names have come here, and the sales will drag it to values, so you get the values here. You highlight this and format it into currency and no decimal places and say OK. And now you want to make a pie chart out of this, so you click on pivot table analyze and select pivot chart and select pie and select OK. Then you can even click on design and you have different design formats. Before that, we would change the colors so that it matches with this color scheme, which is typical to the maybe the logo of these two companies. So we come back here, and in this design we have this change color, and we'll scroll down. So we select maybe this color scheme, let's just take a look at the original. So it is gray and yellow. We come back here and we select the part which we want to format. And fill it. Instead of this color, we want to fill it with this color, and this part, instead of this color, we want to fill it with this color. If you want an exact match, come back over here, select this, okay, and you can see the fill, and you can see what is this fill code. So you have this more colors, and this is the fill code. This will give you this exact color. Control C, come back here, select this range, come here, select more colors, Control V and select OK. So you got the same shade. Same way you come here and select more colors and select this shade and come back to our data and come to more colors and fill it with this shade. So you get the same shade. Now I don't want these legends or these fill buttons. So right click, hide all fill buttons on the chart. I don't want these legends, so I remove these legends. I don't want this chart title, I remove the chart title. However, I want to add data labels, so add data labels like this. And if you see, the value is shown in percentage. So if you want to see the value as percentage, you select the data and show value as, you say, percentage of grand total. So you get as percentage of grand total, and then you click on the chart, and now you have various designs to choose from. There is somewhere where your numbers can be seen very prominently. Okay. So that's what we want, that the number should be shown very prominently. Or you yourself can redesign them, so you can move this and you can even format these data labels. Okay, and you have this, you want to see it as a percentage, you can see that. You want to show the category name, you can show the category name also. And same way for this also, you can say show the category name, and you can change the colors. So just select, right click, and you want to change the color of the font, so click on home and make it to white. Okay, so this seems pretty decent. And now right click over here, or you can click on design, then click on format, select shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. So our first graph is ready. You can Control C, copy the graph, and what we'll do, this pivot is there, we'll rename this pivot. So just ensure that your pivot table is selected, come into pivot table, analyze, and this pivot name is there. We'll say sales by store, or you can say store sales, whichever is comfortable. Just ensure there is no space. This is a name for this pivot, and we'll rename this as sales by store. So this is our first pivot, a first chart ready, which matches with this chart. Now parallelly we'll also construct this dashboard, and we'll go on placing things which are ready. So we come back to our sheet. I'll move the raw data here. This is my sales by store. I'll click on plus, make a new sheet, and I'll rename it as dashboard. Now we'll construct the outer rectangle. You can see this black rectangle which is there on the outside. We want to construct that, and also notice that it has rounded rectangles, so keep that in mind. So we click on insert, illustrations, and here you have shapes. In shapes you have rounded rectangle, and I make one rounded rectangle like this. Taking care that it doesn't extend beyond the screen limitations. And this yellow bar is there. I can increase or decrease the width of the round corners. Okay, and now I have to adjust the fill color. So let us see what is this fill color. So to see the fill color, you can click on shape format and click on shape fill, and you can see more fill colors. So this is the code for that fill color. I will press Ctrl C to copy this code, select OK, and come to our sheet and shape format and shape fill, more fill colors, and I'll fill it with this color and select OK. So outer rectangle is ready. Now this inner smaller rectangle with a lighter color, we want that as well. So again we come to our dashboard, what we'll do, we'll copy this rectangle itself and we'll paste that same rectangle, and we'll just temporarily change the color to some lighter shade just to demarcate it, and we'll just reduce the size. Okay, and now we want to match this with that color, so we come back to our sheet and we select this and we select shape format, shape fill, more fill colors, and this is the color code. I will copy this, come back to our sheet, shape format, shape fill, more fill colors, fill it with this color, select OK. So that is ready. Now next we have to place our sales by store pie chart over here in the corner. So again we come to our sheet and our sales by store pie chart is here. We press Ctrl C, we come into dashboard, okay, click anywhere and Ctrl V paste, bring it to a suitable location, close this, reduce the size of it, okay, we are happy over here, and over here I want to write the heading sales by store, so I'll select insert text box and I will click over here and write down sales by store, and I would select this and I would say shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. Then I'll just bring this in the center and maybe slightly increase the size. Okay, and center align it. So my first graph is ready. Ensure that none of your elements are not coming in that not visible category. So just ensure that you adjust them nicely. Your data should be perfect. So sales by store, our first graph, pie graph is ready. Now let us see what is the next. We'll make sales by manager and we want to show the first 5 managers, the top 5 managers, sales by managers. So again we come back to our sheet, go to raw data and select insert, select pivot table, select OK, select manager name and select sales. Now you can see there are a lot of managers. I don't want to see all, I want to see only the top 5. So I click over here, value filters, where this top 10 is there, I will click here sorry, and I'll make it to top 5 and click on OK, and I will just change this to currency. Okay, and I don't want the decimal places, so I'll remove the decimals and select OK. Now I would click on Insert, select Graph, and we will select a simple graph. We select a bar graph like this and select OK. Then we would hide all these buttons. Then I don't want the legends, and I don't want the chart title, I don't want the x-axis, and I want to add the data labels, but I want to show this value as percentage. Okay, so right click over here and select show value as percentage of grand total, and I want to change the color of these bars. So just click on these bars and fill and change the color to black, and finally I don't want any fill, so design is okay, format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. I'll Control C copy, and I'll come into our dashboard. Before doing that, we'll rename this, so click on pivot table analyze, and we'll rename this to sales by manager. Okay, and we'll rename this sheet also sales by manager, and we'll drag this sheet after the sales by store. So we have raw data, we have dashboard, we have sales by store and sales by manager. Now we copy the sales by manager, Control C, and come to our dashboard and Control V, paste the dashboard. Now we want to stretch this, and at the same time we want to keep headings, space for headings and space for the logo as well. Take this slightly down and we copy this, Control C, and we paste it, Control V, and move this here and write down sales by managers or sales by top 5 managers. Okay, so this is ready. Second graph is also done. Okay, if you don't want these vertical lines in between, select these vertical lines and delete them. Come into your dashboard and reset to match style. Okay, so sales by manager is also ready. Now on the top we want to make those legends something similar to this, Computech and Micro World and their rectangular box. So we want to take this slightly down so that we can make space for Computech and Micro World. So we come back to our sheet and we just copy this, paste it here, and we make one rectangular box. So we click on shapes and we make one rectangle like this, and then again we copy both of them and we paste both of them on the side like this. We'll reduce the distance, bring them close, and you see the first is Computech and second is Micro World. So we rename this to Computech, and second we rename to Micro World, and you can see what is the color of each of them. So I want to do this with this color, so you can just take a look at what is the color code. So more colors, copy this color, come here, fill, more colors, and fill it with this color. Select OK. Same way select this, fill, and more colors, and select this copy, come here, fill, more colors, copy. And you don't want the outline, so shape format, shape outline, no outline. Same way here, shape format, shape outline, no outline. So that is also done. You can take this slightly down. Here I want to insert the company logo. You can insert any logo. Now I have one logo ready, so I'll select insert, illustration, pictures, this device, so I'll select this, and it's pasted here, and I'll reduce the size. Okay, so this company logo is there, and now over here I want to write down this, I want to insert one more picture and write down sales dashboard. So again I click on insert, illustrations, pictures, and instead of pictures we'll this time select icons. So it shows you the Microsoft library of icons. So we'll select this icon and we'll select insert, and we'll bring it over here. We'll reduce the size, and then we'll copy this and we'll paste it, and we'll rename this to sales dashboard, and we'll increase the size, and we'll also make it bold. We'll take it slightly down. So this is our indicating that this is our sales dashboard. So 2 graphs are ready. Now 2 more to go. So come back. Next you have sales by category graph. So again we come back to our original sheet, go to our raw data, select insert, select pivot table, select OK, and now you move category over here and you move sales over here, and you can also take the store here. So you have the store wise sales, and you can select them and you can right click and you can say show value as percentage of grand total. And now you want to make a graph of this. So pivot table analyze, pivot chart, select bar graph, select OK, hide all field buttons. I don't want the legends, I don't want the y-axis titles, I want to add data labels, I don't want these vertical axis, I don't want any fill, and I don't want any outline. And finally I want to adjust these colors to match the colors of microtech. So this, you can see this 3.03 is of Computech. So use this blue bars is Computech. So you go into dashboard and Computech is this color. So go into shape format, shape fill, more fill colors, copy this, Ctrl C, cancel, and come here and double click here. And go into fill, more fill colors, and fill it with this color. Okay, and then for that was for Computech, and now for the other company, Micro World, shape format, or you can check from here, more colors, this is the color, copy it, come to sales by manager, come to raw data, select the other, select fill, come here, more colors, fill it with this color, select OK. And what happened to the other one? We want to change this color to this. Okay, so our next graph is ready, sales by category. So first we'll rename this pivot table to sales by category, and we'll rename the sheet as well, sales by category, and we will take this sheet and keep it in the end, and then we'll copy this, Ctrl C, and come into our dashboard and Ctrl V paste, and then bring it here, reduce the size, and copy the headings, paste it, bring it here, and change the headings to sales by category. So the next graph is also done. And finally, the last graph is sales by months. So again we come back to our sheet, go to raw data, select insert, select pivot table, select OK, and select months and select sales. And I don't want all this, I want only the months, and select this, right click, show value as percentage of grand total, and then pivot table analyze, pivot chart, and we want the chart should be a bar graph. So we want this graph is okay, but we want for both the companies, so we select store and bring it here. And now we go into pivot table analyze, pivot chart, bar chart, select OK, bring it here, hide all field buttons. We don't want legends, we don't want the dates, we don't want horizontal axis, and we want to fill this. So design or format, shape fill, no fill, shape outline, no outline. Now you can see Computec and all these values. We want to add data labels and add data labels. So this 9.53 you can see is Computec. So see the color of Computec is gray. So you can click on, you can double click here, or you can directly go into format and shape fill and fill it with this color, and select the second, format, shape fill and fill it with this color. Then select your graph, Ctrl C copy, come to dashboard and Ctrl V paste, and reduce the size and bring it here. In case you don't want this, you can delete that as well. And finally copy the label, bring it here, and sales by months, and it is ready. Now all our graphs are ready. Now we want the slicers. Okay, before that we'll come here, we'll click on pivot table analyze, we'll rename this to sales by months, and we'll rename the sheet as well, sales by months, and we'll move this sheet right at the end. Come back to our dashboard, and now we want the slicer buttons. So let us see what are the slicer buttons. You have store, you have town, and you have category. Come back to our sheet and come back into any of the pivot table. You click on insert, select slicer, and you want store, you want town, you want category, select OK. Select all the three, Ctrl C copy, and come into dashboard, Ctrl V paste. Now bring the store slicer and bring it here and size it up. Bring the town slicer, bring it here and size it up. And bring the category title, bring it here and size it up. And then scroll down and reduce the size. Now let's do a test run. So you click on Computec. You can see only one of the graph is moving and not all the graphs. So to avoid this, what you have to do, one small setting has to be done. Click on the first slicer, click on slicer, select report connections, and you link that slicer with all the pivot tables. Okay. Click on the town slicer, click on slicer, click on report connections and link it with all pivots. Category, slicer, report connections, link it with all the pivots. And now if you click on Computec, you can see all data is moving. If you clear the slicer, you will see the slicer gets cleared. If you want data for a specific company, you can select specific company. You want data for both, you can select both the companies. And same way, a specific town you can clear. Same way, a specific category you can clear. And to clear the categories or the slicers, click here and click here. Now you can see when I click on one of them, so let's just adjust this nicely. And let's just check this slicer, report connections. So this is sales by store, and I've linked it with sales by month, sales by manager and sales by category. And let's just see the sales by store. Okay, here just select all. Okay, now it's correct. Just adjust everything so that the dashboard looks proper. So now you can see you want data for a specific town, you can clear it. You want data for a specific category, you can get it. You want for all categories, clear it. You want for a specific town, you can get it. You want for all, clear it. And same way you can have for one store, other store, or clear to get data from both the stores. So friends, in this lecture we have seen how to make a sales dashboard. Hope you have learned something new. Please use this practice file, practice this, and do share your feedback with me in the comment section. And if you like this lecture, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you again in the next lecture. Till that time, goodbye. you.